All right, folks. So let's talk about some TV things, right? A couple of premieres,
Right.
a 2 episode premiere, as well that we'll talk about. That will be The Boys, right? But
Right.
to kick things off, right? Ricardo, you have the floor. You will talk about the series premiere of The Testament. So I
Sure.
will. All right. So pre-ramble time with this, right? With you, Ricardo, you will talk about The Testament, and you'll talk about the season 5 premiere of For All Mankind, right? So
Right.
with
Right.
The Testaments, right? This, of course, is a spin-off of The Handmaid's Tale, right?
Right.
And I'll confess, it was a show that I was watching at a point in time, right? I wasn't watching it when it was out, like when it was being shown weekly on Hulu, right? It was Hulu, right? I was confusing it with AMC, but it's Hulu, right? Even though as not the biggest fan of its premise, there's the idea of women being subjugated, in a
Right.
patriarchal society in the future. That just sort of rubs me off the wrong way. But I mean, I understand the book, which is written by Margaret Atwood.
That would.
Is a classic, and
Yeah.
it's meant to touch on real issues, right? Especially when it comes to the sexes, right? Um, and I was enjoying the show. I was appreciating the show for what it is, right? Even though it is distressing and upsetting at times, right? Elizabeth Moss just being so sour. I mean, but yeah, I mean, she's great at this, right? But I think it was in the end of the second or the third season where, spoiler alert, she actually gives birth, right? And how she gives birth and the situation where it happens was all sorts of dark and kind of it was
Yeah.
just so messed up, but at the same time you just couldn't help but watch it. It's kind of brilliant
Right.
when you think about it, right? But it's what she did with the child after, and I understand why she do it, but at the same time it's like, why would you do that though? And that just turned
Right.
me off of the show entirely, right? Where it's like, boy, you just give up your one chance of hope, right? Just to go back into the shit, right? That's exactly what it is she did. But yeah, I after that finale, I was like, nah, boy, like for you to do that after the hell you went through to give birth to that child, I was like, nah. But I feel like if I were to go back to it and open my mind just a little bit more, I'll be like, oh, okay, I understand. I'll probably
Yeah.
appreciate
No,
the
it's
show a
it's.
lot more.
Oh yeah. One thing I like how Margaret Atwood does also
Huh.
but it's the one thing that it's typical like why not why novel sorry the kind of the dystopian sci-fi idea of well look how dystopian this thing is and then it's like oh well yeah, I mean the only reason it happens because it happened to white women like that's kind of the problem
I know,
like
right?
this stuff is meant to be, but to be fair, it's very explicitly the books is much more explicitly race centered in the concession. Like there are no sort of black people or anything like that in our society. Whilst this the TV show doesn't really do that. It just plays on a general gender concession. We could argue if that make any sense or not, but um you could go with that.
Right.
I
Well,
kind of
that's few things for you with the preamble, and then I'll shut up, right? So yeah. So when I heard about they doing this spin off, I like I don't know, but then we saw that we Gale Chase Infinity is in it. I was like
right.
because after we saw her in one battle after another, I told myself, all right, I'm really excited to see what she does next. I didn't expect that she's going to be in a spin-off of The Handmaid's Tale, but I was like, all right, go get your money, hun. Do what you got to do. But you actually checked out the premiere. I was actually like surprised that you checked it out, right? So you'll talk about that, right? As for All Mankind, I've been hearing nothing but great things about this show, but I just never took the time to check it out. And then I found
Yes.
out, oh, this season 5 is going to be the final season. It's like shit.
Right.
Now I
And
gotta watch
yeah, we're gonna get well.
I gotta watch all these episodes now and catch up, man, because I heard this is like probably one of the best Apple TV shows like ever,
Right.
currently,
Agreed.
and I really want to see it for myself before it ends, right? But yeah, I'm gonna shut up here. But yeah, Ricardo, you could tell me about how you feel about the Handmaid's Tale before you jump into the Testament, and then you could tell me about how you've been enjoying For All Mankind. So I'm gonna shut up.
Right.
You
Right.
do your
Right.
thing.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, the Testaments. Yeah. So it's a couple episodes came out. Quick confession: I did not watch the final season of The Handmaid's Tale. I saw up to season four's finale. That is where they meet on the train. That is all you need to know, and that's a pretty strong finale. I just did not find the time to find to take in the final season. But I know some of the bigger beats of what happened anyway. And yeah, this starts on focusing on the main character of a new character, Chase Infinity's character. She's what you call a plum. If you know what that is basically the premise of color. And it's her growing up in the world of Gilead. Gilead still even after all of that drama. involving the final season. The Gilead still survive, and then a lot of the characters still alive where they shouldn't be. And they basically focus on the concept of what you're doing with living in this world and having to grow up in this world, and you see it from the perspective of the kids. So it's basically kind of like the Gen V to the boys thing, right? You know, you're seeing it from the kids, the new generation, how they had to handle it, how they'll be relevant to the world battle, and they're making it work for what it is. And yeah, she, have to meet a new character, a Pearl, this girl who comes from Canada, and is these people who tend to be a lot more religious than people who live in Gilead itself. But the end of the first episode, they do a little quick character reveal. Um, Agnes, that's what I'm trying to remember her name. Yeah, they play with that premise, and she's a Pearl, and she has to, which is a girl in white. Pinks is people who is girls who don't have menstruation yet. Purples is girls who have menstruation, so now it's time for them to get married and have a kid, and they're capable of having kids because that's like the big disastrous event of this world where a bunch of women can have children, and they play with that. There's 3 episodes that came out. I only watched the first episode so far. The reveal at the end of the first episode is good. With what's going on with the thing, and then they show a character reveal as a little cameo at the end, and it's like, all right, they set it up reasonably well. It's Gen V. That's how I think about it like that. It's roughly similar quality, different characterization and different perspectives, but they're making it work for what it is. And yeah, she has infinity hole in it. So that's the main thing. The quick question is if I could tolerate you in front of the camera as long as God, it don't change the fact that she really nice looking. So that's a help. But yeah, they make it work. Yeah, I thought it was a really strong premiere. Didn't watch the other episodes so far, but yeah, really, really solid premiere in my opinion. So there's that. Uh, let's get to For All Mankind. Right. So I am not a massive, massive fan of the show, but a big enough fan. Mostly because the show it's all technical and nerdy and alt reality stuff, and they're making that work for what it is. And they should also getting a spin-off called Star City, but they're playing with the whole idea of city on Mars, but it's also from everything from the Russian perspective. Because remember the big sticking point of the what if scenario in For All Mankind was the Soviets having a lot more power in the space race, and the space race going on until well into the 21st century. And yeah, that's what it is. So this one is they're focusing a lot on Mars, and they're really like leading up, and most of this works like backdoor pilot to Star City. But yeah, they're focusing. This one is still on Gordon and the main guys. Still sticking with that idea of it, and so far I've been enjoying it for what it is. I didn't watch all of the season. I'm in the middle of it, but I am excited for Star City. This one, it just kind of slowed down the main narrative, and it just feels like they're just wrapping it up. So nice about it. Worth watching. It's pretty good if you're watching it. I don't want to tell you that you're probably still watching it anyway, so I don't probably want to tell you. So nice just that.
Wait, so hold up. So the just to be clear, right? So the season has started, right? How many episodes?
3 episodes.
All right, all
Three
right. All
episodes
right.
only.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I guess I still have time.
Right.
If I'm lucky enough, I could probably like watch the whole show out and then the whole series out. Sorry,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
we
it's
can
a
talk
show.
about.
It's a show. It's a show. You have to admit, I want to say it's a show that only it's for the nerds. Like it's because it's not just like science nerd stuff, but it's policy nerd stuff. And like, oh well, this person could have been president, and oh Ted Kennedy is president instead, and blah 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 blah, and all of that stuff. Now, that's so you have to be interested in that. And like, oh well, this set of counterfactual events may or may not happen. Like a big thing. This might be a spoiler. The president is a woman in the 90s, the American president, and she's a lesbian. So like, would that even be possible in that scenario in the United States? Not sure, right? It's stuff like that. Like, it's like, okay, I don't know. Like, would that work or how politics will work in that alternate reality? I'm sure, right? Stuff like that. Like, I don't know how. There's a speculation about that, but whatever, it's fine.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's move on to the first 2 episodes of the fifth and final season of The Boys, right?
Right.
I'll just do like a brief run through of what happened. We might get into a couple of spoilers, right? But yeah,
It's only a one spoiler. It's not one spoiler to talk about. So it's the big one. That is a good one.
all right. I wonder if I'll mention it, right? But if I don't, you mention it, right? Yeah. So fifth and final season. What I will just before I get into what happened, right? Yeah. So far I've been hearing like because some critics got to see the whole full 8 episode season,
Right.
and they are saying that the show has ended off on a strong note. That's really all
Right.
I want, right? Some people think that the show has overstayed its welcome. I actually think that you
I
said something like
I
that in the past. Yeah.
I thought so. I thought so until seeing these first two episodes of where they're going with it. I was like, all right, no, they ain't overstay the welcome. They're doing exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So where we start off now, right? So a year has passed, since the events of season 4, right? Our boy, the guy that we love to hate, Homelander. Yeah, he pretty much running the show now, like literally
Right.
running the show, right? He's the guy who got the president into power. He get oh gosh, I'm forgetting her name.
Ashley good.
Ashley, yeah, she's the vice president though. Well, that's I was like, what? Like, really?
What they do with her is great. Like, I love what they did with her.
Yes,
But
yes. Especially with the skill, especially with the skill set that she have now. That's all you'll say.
Right.
Yeah. So pretty much anybody who is for Starlight, right, aka Annie January. Yeah, they pretty much putting them in concentration camps, right, like literal concentration camps, right. So yeah, Huey, Mother's Milk, Frenchie. And McGill. McGill isn't there on fortunately for her. Kimiko, yeah. So it's Huey, Mother's Milk, and Frenchie.
Right,
They are there, right? Kimiko escaped.
So the name of the park, the name of the concentration camp is where there's freedom. 47. They're like, okay, they really had to pick that number.
Oh, I didn't pick up on the I didn't pick up on the number though.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, all right.
Yeah. So Kimiko is on the run. Billy Butcher is on the run. And of course, Starlight is on the run, right? And you saw her in Gen V season 2. So she was keeping busy around that time, right? So yeah, through some circumstances, the gang meets up, and the plan is to take this virus. Which let's just say that Billy was cultivating all the time, right? Pretty much to take down Homelander and pretty much every single soup, right? But if you remember from the last season, he also ingested, V as well, so he has powers as well too. In this case, it's like these vines has just pretty much come out from his
cancer vines.
Cancer vibes, yes, because he is still dying from cancer, right? Yeah, these vines come out from his chest, and they do damage, right? And so in these 2 episodes, we just see them pretty much hatch this plan to try to take down Homelander. And Homelander, of course, now have a little plan as well. So he resurrects, or I should say, he tours out his dad, right? Soldier Boy, right? So we see what happens at that point. And I'll stop there, right? So just quick review of it. I am enjoying the hell out of this final season so far. These 2 episodes. Homelander, again, still a guy that you love to hate, right? One thing I love though, just from the jump though, is how they reintroduce the whole Flight 37 situation from the first season, right? How they bring it back here, which I'm not gonna spoil, make a lot of sense, right? And how they work it into modern times, and how let's just say how news is presented these days, or misinformation is presented. I thought that absolutely works. That makes a lot of sense, right? That's first spoiler I'll mention, right? That's a minor one, but it's kind of a big deal. Yeah, Kimiko talks. I like, what? Like, okay, like, finally do.
A little jarring, but yeah,
it is. Good work. And especially when she explained, she kind of states how she could talk now. It's like, okay, all right, very, very blunt, like very, 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 like, scant in terms of detail, but like, all right, I'm supposed to buy into that, okay. But I mean, it's McGill, right? Karen Fukuhara, so I don't mind, she getting to talk and whatnot, right? And they started to develop, they because she reunites with Frenchie now, their relationship gets very strong now, right? But I have a sneaky suspicion that they're gonna do something now with the 2 of them. Let's just say without spoiling anything, because I don't know what to expect over the next 6 episodes. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna last long. I think one of them will die. Okay. I just don't know who. I don't know who, right? And a fearing the same thing with Annie and Huey, right? Because they reunite as well, but they kind of have this little tension going on in their relationships. It's like, I don't know what's going on, right? Homelander is still, a mean motherfucker. He's the type of person that if you just watch him bad, or if you just hear your heartbeat, it's like, oh, what up with you? What you trying to say? The man like will kill you, right? That he's that type of guy, right? There is, let's just say, a legacy character who dies by, and I didn't feel it too much though, but given how the character has grown over the past couple seasons, like, yeah, it's kind of a fitting death that this character gets though, and I do like the fact that they do the thing, right? They do the whole TV show thing where when a major character dies, or when something very serious happens, closing credits and it's silence, right? But this
Right.
case you hear ambient noise from a forest. That's all I'll say without spoiling anything, right? But yeah,
Right.
how that character arc ends absolutely works, right? And yeah, I mean
Yeah.
you still get the bloody, gory, just sleazy action and humor, f bombs and c words being thrown every minute. But that is what the boys is, right? But to me, what I'm really enjoying with the season so far is how it feels. Yeah, like it feels like it's reflecting the modern times. It's reflecting the Trump era that America is facing again for the second time, right? There's allusions to ICE, there's allusions to Trump being in power, this and just again, media and stuff like that, right? So it feels very, very current, right? Even though it is still pulling from material that was relevant back in the 2000s, or is it 2000s or 2010s? I can't remember right now because I'm not familiar with the source material at all, right? And of course, performance wise, everybody knocking it out the park. Especially Mother's Milk too. There's a nice
Right.
little gag where one thing I always liked about the character is how he rocks these T-shirts with famous like hip hop groups, right? That's one thing I always love about him, how he just rapping hip hop, right? But yeah, they do a nice joke with him where he has to wear non-hip hop shirts. That was funny.
Right. Right.
That was real funny how they do it. It happened twice to her. That happened
Yeah.
going to her.
So they do a gag with Homelander finding out his nickname. I was like, okay, that's
Oh yeah. Also, just couple quick things, right? Also, they introduce some new characters. There's like let's just say, although this minor nitpick, I thought these characters could have been introduced in season 2 of Gen V at least. Yeah, you have like this. Let me just say this smaller, more teen, more youth centric version of the Seven.
well, they were established before.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Yeah, early material because that's where Adrian come from and where
Right,
listen,
right. And
Adrian and
Maeve, right? No, not Maeve.
I mean, gosh, the current girl in charge, the Condoleezza Rice character.
Oh gosh. No, not
uh,
fire. Just so it's
Sister
fire.
Sage.
Or Sister Sage. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sister Sage was part of that. Because Sister Sage and Adrian know each other for a long time.
Yes. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Firecracker. I was confusing with. I thought Firecracker was part of that group, right? So yeah, the name of the group is Teenage Kicks, right? KIX, right? So they are like, let me just say, the Teen Titans in this boys universe, right? There's one character, boy. All right. So I'll just call the character out. Second spoiler: Rock Hard, right? That is legit the funniest character I've seen in the show so far.
That one, yeah.
Boy, the quips with him, and it's just the lines that he gives and how he gives them without spoiling much had me in stitches. And there's a gag, right, that's set up involving volcanoes. That's all I'll say. The payoff. It's the reveal of what really going on. I was like, oh lord, that is pure boys humor, right? Just very crass humor, but there's a level of intelligence to it though. That absolutely worked for me, right? And last but not least, mad shout out to my boy David Diggs, who plays Old Father. I think his Old Father is his name, right? Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
He is a standout character, but he is so great. And what I always say is that it touches on the weaponizing of Christianity, of religion, right? To get people voting, right? To get people, to lean to the left or the right, right? Is that, right? But how he nails that character-wise was brilliant, right? It was real cool seeing him there and just how over the top and how hammy he was with the character. That absolutely works for me, right? And yeah, I am excited as all hell in terms of where this story is gonna go, especially how that second episode ends. That's all I'll say. Especially how that episode ends. I was like, oh shit, whoa, okay, right? But as a wrap up here, right? I am just hoping that this show sticks the landing because I've been pretty much loving the show from the jump, right? People, we could talk about, the political stuff or the commentary don't really matter any, it doesn't matter as much as it did back when it was in comic book form. But I think that, the showrunners found a way to make it relevant to our times, right? And it's just working, right? And then, of course, it's given us a fantastic villain in the form of Homelander. Again, a guy that you just love to hate, right? But I am just there like, okay, shit could go down because this is the 5th and final season. Anything could happen. I have a feeling some legacy characters will die, some characters that we love will die, you know what I mean? Or some characters might just live on. Who knows, right? But I am just excited to see where this story and where this series go, right? So yeah, I am on board. I can't wait to see where the show goes next, right? I won't be watching it on a weekly basis though. I will just probably wait until the season wraps up and then I'll just watch the full thing. I will try to avoid spoilers like the plague. I see like right now, just stick with Prime now. Yeah, you know, IGN just giving out reviews for every episode of
It,
Invincible. I'm
yeah,
like, no, don't do that. I wanna binge the full thing. Don't stop doing that, man, right? But yeah, I'll try to avoid reviews of episodes like the plague when it comes to this show. But yeah, I am definitely excited, right? But yeah, Ricardo, your thoughts on these first episodes so far?
yeah, solid opening. As it is, just really, really solid premiere, and again the big spoilers and R.I.P. to a real one, and how his arc ends off is perfect. I think they make it work. My main thing is that if you're gonna make it relevant, have the characters be what the concession should be. And yeah, they make three characters work really, really well in this. One, Huey. Huey is still great in this in terms of his aspect of it. And but basically, how they frame up Huey, and there's a little this might be a slightly ironic or a little overlapping, but yeah, he's basically Clark Kent without superpowers. Like they really nail the aspect of his being a good guy and staying with that and make it work in the concept of the world because you have to explain that to people. And then they flip it on it with Starlight. Her arc is great right now. I really enjoy what they're doing with her. The idea of that kind of guilt and people fighting in her name effectively, and not only fighting but dying, right? It's not just some joke thing now. And then, yeah, your main man Homelander, he real working. Like they really working the whole loneliness aspect of him, how pathetic he is, all the little small things. Again with R.I.P. to a real one, what happened with that, and why he effectively had a meltdown after that happened. Bring it back, Soldier Boy. There's a little small moment where Soldier Boy order old fashioned, and then he order old fashioned too. That's funny.
Yeah, that was funny. That
But
was
it's
funny.
good. It's like it's great character work. Like it make perfect sense why he like that. And then yeah, then the big thing at the end of the episode with what going on at the end of that. I was like, oh shit, that this could have a lot of implications. I had one slight thing spoiled for me, so I don't think it'll go in the direction I was initially speculating. But like, yeah, it's still good stuff. As it is. I didn't think they would. I really thought it was kind of getting long to it with its own concession, but they really adapt really well to the current times and making the social commentary. I really thought it would go stale, but no, they write it in a genuinely smart way on how to wrap it up, especially given the real world implications of the whole situation and the workable parallels. They're making it work. And that's what I didn't think it would work, and it is working. Mostly because it keep the tension, they keep the action, and they're making it work. And in some ways, it working better than Invincible. And yeah, nerds eating kind of good for the next few weeks, right? Because we have what 4, 5, 6 nerd shows at the same time, like this, Daredevil, Invincible, Testaments, Fall Mankind, all
I
in
think I'm
one.
gonna say Punisher too. No, Punisher coming up
Right, Punisher coming as well, right?
well, early May.
Yeah. So definitely next few weeks or so is like, oh, good stuff though. And even Daredevil going good with its own concessions towards the politics now. But I enjoy the boys more, to be honest, for what it is. But yeah, I didn't think this would have been as strong as it was. I was expecting something not so great, and I ended up, like, again, rule of thumb, if it keep your attention the entire time, it doing its job, and it did that. So yeah, I dug the hell out of it.